Right now, there are 8 billion people on this planet, but every single one of them, you, me, everyone you've ever met, came from a group so small you could fit all of them into one small town. A group that came this close to vanishing completely. If they had failed, you would never have been born. This isn't a theory someone made up. It's written inside your body, inside your DNA. And when scientists first read it, they didn't believe what it was telling them. Because human DNA has a strange problem. A problem no one could explain. We are, genetically, one of the least varied large animals on Earth. Here's how strange that is. Take 2 chimpanzees from 2 neighboring groups in the same forest. Not different continents, the same forest. Those 2 chimps are more genetically different from each other than a person from Norway is from a person in Nigeria. Think about that. Every difference you can see in humanity, every skin tone, every height, every face on Earth, all of it fits inside a smaller genetic range than 2 monkeys living a few miles apart. So why are 8 billion humans so nearly identical on the inside? There's only one thing that does this to a species. When a population crashes down to almost nothing and then slowly grows back, every descendant inherits the DNA of only those few survivors. All the variety carried by everyone else dies with them. It never comes back. Scientists call it a bottleneck, and we know exactly what it looks like because we've seen it happen to other animals. Cheetahs went through one. Today, cheetahs are so genetically similar that you can take a skin graft from a wild cheetah in one country and transplant it onto a completely unrelated cheetah in another, and the body won't reject it. Their immune systems can't tell each other apart. That's what a bottleneck does to a species. And human DNA is carrying the fingerprints of one, because buried in that DNA is an actual number, a number for exactly how many of us were left. And when you hear it, you'll understand why some scientists call it a miracle that anyone is here at all. I'll show you that number in a moment. But first, you need to see what almost killed us. Around 74,000 years ago, on the island we now call Sumatra, a volcano named Toba did not just erupt. It was one of the largest eruptions in the last 2 million years, thousands of times more powerful than any eruption in recorded history. It threw so much rock and ash into the sky that geologists can still find the layer today, buried in the ground on the other side of the world. Ash blanketed the sky. Sunlight dimmed. The temperature dropped. Plants died. The animals that ate the plants died. And the animals that ate those animals started to starve. And the small bands of early humans scattered across Africa were suddenly hungry in a world turning cold and dark. They had no farms, no stored food, no way to travel somewhere better. If the land around you stopped producing, you did not have a backup plan. You had days. Some scientists believe this is the moment we nearly ended. So, how many were left? By measuring how little variation exists in modern human DNA, researchers can work backwards and estimate the size of the group we all descend from. And the answer is terrifyingly small. Some studies suggest that at one point, the number of humans able to have children may have dropped to just over 1,000. 1,000. That's fewer people than fit in a single small school. Fewer than the number of people you'd pass on a busy street in an afternoon. Every human being who has ever lived since came from that tiny group. And one recent study pushed it even further, suggesting that at an earlier point in our history, our ancestors may have been reduced to around 1,300 individuals, and stayed that low not for a year, not for a decade, but for something like 100,000 years. 100,000 years of being one bad century away from gone. And here's the part that makes it worse. We weren't alone out there. At various points, there were other kinds of humans on this planet. Neanderthals, Denisovans, others we're still discovering. Most of them didn't make it. Extinction wasn't a distant possibility for a species like ours. It was the normal outcome. Now, think about what surviving actually required. Every one of those 1,000 people had to live long enough to have children, and their children had to live long enough to have children, and theirs, for thousands of generations, in a row, without a single break. No hospitals, no antibiotics, no way to store water. A bad infection was fatal. A broken leg was often fatal. A hard winter could take half a group, and not one link in that chain could ever break. If a single one of your direct ancestors had died before having children from a predator, a winter, a wound, a bad season, you would not exist. Not you, not anyone who looks like you. That entire branch simply stops. You are the end of an unbroken chain that runs back through every one of those survivors, and it never failed, not once. And there's one more twist that makes this even stranger, because we can actually trace part of that chain back to one woman. Every person alive today carries a tiny piece of DNA separate from the rest that gets passed down almost unchanged from a mother to her children and from her daughters to their children, generation after generation. And when you follow those lines back far enough, all of them meet at a single woman in Africa. Scientists call her Mitochondrial Eve. She wasn't the only woman alive at the time. She wasn't the first human. She didn't know she was special, and by any measure she wasn't, not to anyone around her. She was just one person in a struggling group, fighting to see another winter. And yet a piece of her is inside every single human on Earth right now, including you, including everyone you have ever loved. And there's a mirror to her. Follow the Y chromosome, the piece passed down from fathers to sons, back through time, and those lines converge too, on a single man. Scientists call him Y-chromosomal Adam. They almost certainly never met. They may have lived thousands of years apart, but between the two of them, they are the narrow point that all 8 billion of us are threaded through. Then somehow it turned around. The climate steadied. The group held on, and that tiny population, the one that should have disappeared, began to grow. They walked out of Africa and into every continent on this planet. Deserts, ice, mountains, oceans. Within a few tens of thousands of years, the species that almost ended was everywhere. So the next time the world feels crowded, 8 billion people, cities that never sleep, traffic that never ends, remember how it started. A handful of people, cold, hungry, outnumbered by everything trying to kill them, with no idea that anyone would ever come after them. They should not have made it, but they did. And because they did, you're here, watching this, tens of thousands of years later, on the other side of the most improbable survival story there has ever been. You are the proof that they survived. This channel is all about the impossible things that had to go right for you to be alive to see them. If that's the kind of thing you want more of, subscribe, and I'll show you the next one.